Okay, got another one. And this time, let's go with a Catalan from the white side, which is turned in quickly into Queen's Indian, and then he's kind of backdooring it into a closed Catalan now. And let's go with an older line, which hasn't been recommended in any books to my knowledge. And we're just going to stay flexible. Everything's going right. We got our rooks on the best square, so let's hit in the center and then see what he does. Okay. Looks good. Looking to play c5 at a certain point. Hitting c6. This looks like the very, very best version of a Catalan. Alrighty then, so I think I'm just going to take the slightly better position here, and if he takes on c5, I take with a rook, and I'm just pressuring the c-pawn. This bishop is much better than its counterpart. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And it's starting to peter out a bit now, which I'm not a big fan of, but I still have a little bit of play here and chances, so I'm not too upset. This is what I was looking for. If he completely shuts down this bishop, this can be the typical Catalan squeeze that you can get. I'm threatening doubling as well as back rank stuff. So let's just double, put pressure here as well. Hard for him to hold absolutely everything together. Hitting the B. Hitting f7. Rook f6 is a decent practical move, but I can turn the screw with king g2, and then let's see what he does. And that should hang it all. No real option but to trade. All right. So that was a relatively clean Catalan game. That's one that I can be relatively satisfied with, as it was a reasonable model game for you guys. Okay. So there are many ways to play the closed Catalan, and I mean, for instance, in the database, knight c3 is recommended, and there are some lines to where if d takes c4, you say a4, and this is a Catalan gambit type structure. And I've played these pretty frequently, and this can be jarring for a person with black who just wants to play automatic moves and not have to think in the opening. And that's what the closed Catalan is designed for. It's just a structure. I'm going to put my knight here, I'm going to put my bishop here, I'm typically going to play for c5, and no extra thought needed. So I got tired of playing the same positions over and over with, say, knight bd2, and we'll get here with bishop e7 and e4. And a rook recommended this stuff back in the day, but say castles, e5, and these types of positions, though they are good for white, they're not the easiest in the world to play, as statically it's a French structure. And being an author of a French book, I typically prefer this position from the black side, even though I know white is objectively better. And it also has the elements of a position that if your attack does not succeed, then you're worse in every endgame. And typically, I don't enjoy playing those positions. I'd much rather be on the side that it's like, if I can live through the attack, I'm going to beat you in the end of the game. So I started playing with different lines, and there's a few here. You can just play very solidly with b3, e3, and I've seen players like Yasser Sirwan do that. But then this queen c2 move, it's flexible, and it gives the opponent time to do something. Like, he doesn't ever really want to take on c4, and say, for instance, it's knight d2, not c3 to cover the c pawn. If they go c5, we're getting this type of position, say with knight e4 pressuring c5, where we double the pawns, and it's just a game. But there's definitely play for both sides here, and it's a dynamic position. So rook d1. And if my opponent waits around too much, I mean, there's 95 ideas, but I decide to allow the position to blow up again if he so chooses with c5. But normally these guys are exceptional at waiting. But here's a solid rule of the Closed Catalan. You don't want to take on e4 if you're on the black side. Because notice the eval change like immediately. c5, equal. It's a game. Takes on e4, white already has a substantial edge. And this is a common mistake that I see with players under 2000. They have this impulse to always release the tension, and this is one of those tension release positions which is going to be miserable. And we see the type of position that results to where you want to play c5, but a move like c5 right now is going to lead to your queen being hit. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. So the engine's even recommending b5 here, just to try to get something. b5, it wants you to move the pawn in some way so it can get the d5 square for the knight. It's already foreseeing the squeeze that's going to be coming here. So bishop d6, knight e5, pressuring c6, normal move. White's pieces are in full harmony. That's the first picture that I want you to see. Rooks are on their optimal squares. Bishops are slicing, knight's on an excellent post, pawns are ready to do work, and queen is supporting everybody. So, circles, gotta love it. Queen c7 puts pressure, but once I go c5, it goes, okay, you're giving me the bishop pair in an open position. I'm also threatening to take on f6. So, when I take on f6, this now gets the distraction, and my plan is to play b4 and then b5 to undermine this pin. So b4, this was wholeheartedly the move I was expecting. I did not consider e5 at all. And then queen e5 would be amazing if they took, in which case you can fight for it, but you're getting absolutely squished here as this bishop is just poop forever. So this is the dream when you're playing against the closed. So e5. Now, this is where I did not consider the best move at all, and probably one of my major inaccuracies in the game. Rook e1, whereas if they take, of course, can't allow that. No mates. But queen d3, not queen f3. But the eval didn't drop significantly, and I'm still getting the 7th rank, which is going to get me play. So there is a threats that can happen. I mean, regardless of if he takes here or not, I'm still going to get to the 7th rank and get exceptional play. b5 only cements the fact that the bishop is poor for longer. I like the idea of king f8, where you could go potentially rook e7 to hold on a bit better in the position. That seems like better practical defense. But b5, rook d7, and the plan is very straightforward here. So I highly doubt that I miffed anything. Okay, that's interesting. I played king g2, but bishop d1 with the reroute to just make it to where absolutely nothing can be done on f7. That's killer. Let's see, that was +6. King g2, +4. And I just wanted my bishop to continue eyeing c6 as I knew it was going to be critical soon. And I was expecting a move like bishop a8 where I was just going to continue to squeeze my opponent. And now this is probably where I would find like the bishop d1, bishop b3 maneuver. And, same type of deal as what the computer recommended. So bishop c8 is, it's hard to find a good move for my opponent. So it's understandable that it fell apart. And that'll do it for this video showing a little bit of closed Catalan analysis for you. Why not?